Good evening, everyone. So glad you could join us today for Bible study. We just got off of a series where we talked about the resurrections. And one of the things that we kind of touched on was the seen and the unseen realm. Now, a lot of people get nervous when you start talking about that, just for the simple fact that um, they can't see the unseen realm, which can be kind of unnerving. But as a believer of Jesus Christ, this is something that is vital to our walk. There's a lot of things that um, the scriptures talk about this unseen realm. And so we're going to begin to unpack this in this new series entitled Spiritual Warfare. If you ever had questions, a little bit confused, might be a little iffy about it, come on in. Let's talk about it. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. It is another day that the Lord has made, another Tuesday where the sun is shining and it's not raining, which is not what I could say for this weekend, but we give all glory and honor to God. So we will open up in prayer and we'll go ahead and jump into this new series that we're starting today. So, Father, we do thank you for how you have covered and you have protected us, Father. You have put the words of life in our mouth, Lord, to be able to speak to situations, to speak those things that we don't see so that they can become the things that we see, Father. So you have equipped us, Lord. You have um, revealed your word unto us, Father. Your Holy Spirit has led and guided us, and we're so grateful, Father. We thank you for the daily lessons, Lord, that you give us of how you're bringing us closer and closer into you, Lord, that you're revealing more and more. And you're just increasing our knowledge, Father, so that our confidence is getting higher, that our faith is increasing, Lord, because as we see the things in your word played out before us, Father, it's just more and more confidence, Lord, but not only for the believers, Lord, but for the unbelievers, Father, so that you can prove yourself, God, better than we can, that you are God and you are sovereign. So thank you, Lord, that your ears are open to our prayers, that your eyes are on us, Father. And as we go forward tonight in this Bible study, those speaking here, we want to hear what the Holy Spirit has to say because his words are spirit and they are life. So we give your name glory and honor in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. All right. So like I said, starting a new series, um, spiritual warfare. So hopefully everybody got the text that I sent out about an hour ago. Um, the previous series that we just ended. One of the things that we started to talk about is this seen and unseen realm, and I know a lot of people can get a little skittish when it comes to those things because it can be scary because it's an unseen realm. You can't see it, but we as believers, this is not something that he wants us to be afraid of. This is um, a realm where we've been seated in, that we have authority. And so after the last series, we just naturally just folded. And let's start talking about this unseen realm, so that we can begin to address some things, and that the Holy Spirit can really let us know um, not only about this realm, but what are the particulars, Lord, and how should we operate in this realm? How should we approach this realm? Are we in that realm now? So there's a lot of things, and this subject is not really taught. I don't hear a lot about spiritual warfare. The only spiritual warfare that you really see is like the Freddy Krueger movies and the Jason movies, and all the horror movies. They're only talking about the demonic side, but we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So this week we're going to begin our introduction. So not as many scripture references, but really going to lay a foundation for the topics that we're going to have in the very near future. So this will be this will be a little more teachy. Well, not that all of them are teachy, but um, we're just going to set that foundation. We're going to set that foundation so that God can really speak to us. So, like I said, what we're talking about spiritual warfare. And so, when when God invites us into um, a relationship with Him, and we accept, that relationship doesn't start because the invitation is always there, but we have to accept it. He opens up a whole new world to us. This is most people. I don't know about you guys, but when I got saved, I wasn't rolling around in the floor. I wasn't, babbling in unknown tongues. I wasn't slobbering at the mouth. It was a very logical decision. I was in summer camp, and we were in. It was a Christian summer camp. We were in the cafeteria. We were beating on the tables and on the chairs, and singing songs. And then it switched. Right, it switched to this like worship moment. And then the camp, I think he was the director at the time, Brother Ed. We just call him Bread. Yeah, summer camp. Um, he went. He said, "Hey, if anybody wants to give their life to Christ, you can come into the bathroom." That's really where they had it set up. It was him and a few other of the um, older, I think the camp's counselors, I think, were in there. And I'll never forget it. There was this little white boy with glasses, kind of dirty brown hair, you know, and said, "Hey, you need to go in there and get saved." And I was just like, "Okay." Walked in the bathroom and gave my life. So it wasn't it was a very calm moment for me when I gave my life to Christ. But when I did, there was a whole new world that was open to me that I didn't even realize. And why is that? So this is the challenge. This new world is opened up to us. We can't see it. We can't see this new world that once we accept Jesus into our life, that we are now a part of. Why? Because we have now become uh, regenerated. We have become spiritually alive. So now we have access to this spiritual realm, which we may not have known about before. And so the Bible calls this new world of the spirit realm. We just finished talking about the unseen realm, the parent realm, because it says the things that um, were made were made from the realm where you cannot see. So the things that were seen were made out of things that are unseen. And so many people, you know, they think they have a really good beat on things. They go throughout life and and they're bound. And a lot of times they don't even realize it. They don't realize that they're bound. They don't realize that, you know, they're in a rocky boat and going from back and forth. Of course, you know, most people like outside of it can see, it's like, man, you really going through with your life. Or they're dealing with a number of challenges due to the lack of understanding about this unseen realm. Um, and like I said, a lot of times they don't even know about it. Why? Because it's a realm where they cannot see. One of the statistics that I brought up in the last series was the electromagnetic realm, electromagnetic spectrum, excuse me, which has all light from A to Z. We can only see that portion that is visible to us is 0.0035%. That's how much of the electromagnetic spectrum when it comes to light that is visible to our eyes. Now imagine someone who is totally bound by, if I can't see it, smell it, taste it, touch it, it's not real. How limiting that view can be in the spectrum of this whole electromagnetic spectrum that is possible light that we can't see. So a lot of people are in this space, but they don't realize it. And so in Second Peter 1 and 3, it says um, that, and I'm gonna read it from the New King James Version, that His divine power has given us all things, has given us all things that pertain to godliness and life. There's some people that are going through life and they're in these situations and they don't know it. They don't know it. So Second Peter 1 and 3 says, God has given by his divine power, he has given us everything, right? There is not a need that you have that he has not already had. All things, not one or two. He says all things, but here's the key. It's through the knowledge of him. So if we don't know him, guess what? We don't know that he has provided all things. We can read it, but we don't believe it. Because we'll be the first thing that says, "Hey, I got these bills over here. I got kids in school. I got this bill, I got that bill. I'm in debt, these credit cards and then this mortgage and all these other different things." So we don't really believe it. But he says, as you begin to know more and more about me, the words that I speak to you become alive even more. So when Second Peter and 1 says, all things that pertain to life and godliness by his divine power he has given us, then you're like, wow, wow. As I know him more and more, I come to the realization even more and more that everything has been provided to me. That everything has been provided to me. Now, so you may be asking, um, what's the point? Why is it important? Why is it so important to know about this unseen realm? I mean, man of God. I hear what you're talking about, but there's reasons why we need to know about this unseen realm. First of all, the biggest one. This is the realm in which we were created and live. Right? This is the realm in which we were created and live. And Ephesians 1 and 4 says that just as he chose us, talking about Jesus, he chose us in him before the foundation of the world. Now, um, I know we have some older saints on this call, and some older saints may be looking at this through different social media outlets, but I don't think anybody's old enough to have lived from the foundation of the world. So what does that tell us? That we existed in some form before this earth came to be. Before the foundations of he chose us. So he can't choose us if we didn't already exist. So why is it important? Because this is the realm which we were created in. This unseen realm. And in Genesis 1, it says that God said, let us make man in our own image. Let us make man in our own image. And God is three parts: Father, Son, Spirit. We are three parts. We are a spirit, we have a soul, and we're housed in a body. So this is one of the reasons why we need to understand about this unseen realm, because this is the realm where we came from. And this is the realm. I know people look at it and you think this skin is you. This is just housing. This is not who you are. Your spirit man is who you are. And you can't see your spirit man. Second reason why it's important to know about this unseen realm. This is the realm where our adversary operates. This is the realm where our adversaries operate. And if we, there's several scriptures that kind of go along with this, kind of a proof text. If you go to Job 1 and 7, it's talking about Job, and a lot of people talking about they want the patience of Job. So just as a side, don't ever pray that prayer. Be very careful when you talk about you want the patience of Job, because brother man had to go through some things that I think you may not want to choose to go through. When you talk about the patience of Job. But um, God was talking and called the sons of God. Um, they were gathering, and Satan. Satan was with him. Satan was with him. And the Lord said unto Satan, and I'm reading from the King James Version because I want you to get this, right? It may be a lot of these and thous, but just stay with me. And the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Which means where are you coming from? What are you doing? Right? So he says, then Satan answered the Lord and said, going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down. Walking to and fro and up and down. So I'm walking through the seen realm. I'm walking into the unseen realm, back into the seen realm. Walking to and fro, up and down. Satan knows how to go from the unseen realm to the seen realm. And you cannot see your adversary. You can't see your adversary. Because why? He's in an unseen realm. And then we go a little bit further when we're talking about our adversary in First Peter 5:8, where it says, our adversary, what? Our adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Now he says our adversary, not God's, our adversary. And that word adversary is a legal term. And it's a legal term for an accuser. So think of it as the accuser being the prosecuting attorney in a courtroom setting. So Peter is saying, hey, you have an adversary. You have someone that is what? Over here accusing you. What does Revelation say? That he's always before you. He's the accuser of the brethren, right? He's always railing accusations, trying to convince God why they don't deserve what you have for them, right? So he's our adversary. He's not God's adversary. There is nobody that's on God's level. Nobody that's on God's level. And he is our adversary. That means he's the one that is accusing us. He's the accuser of the brethren. And I like what this quote from Charles Baudelaire says. He says the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. Now, why is that important? Why is that important? Because if he can convince you that he doesn't exist, he'll control you. Now, I want you to get that for a second. He has convinced many in this world that he doesn't exist. Why? Because if you have to have that empirical data, you're not going to consider that unseen realm. And remember, that's the parent realm. This is the subject realm that we can see. That unseen realm is the parent realm. So if he can convince you that he doesn't exist, you will always be defeated by him. Because anything that he does, you will never attribute it to him or to any of his demonic forces. You'll rationalize it away. So you'll have issues in this life. You could talk about some addictions. You could talk about some other perversions. You could talk about some mindsets, the way that you think about things, how high you feel like you can go. You feel like there's this glass ceiling over you. Well, the word says that when the Holy Spirit comes, he sets you free. So he who the Son sets free is free indeed. So who's put this glass ceiling over you? It's not God. It's not Jesus. So who put it there? But if you don't recognize it, then guess what? You'll never get out of that space. Why? Because you won't recognize the box that you're in. You'll just be like, oh, for some reason I can only go this hard. It's like, oh wow, I'm in this box. Oh, wow, there's a door over there. How about I open the door and go out the door? Now I've had all these possibilities open to me. Just because, why? I understood what was going on. And even though he tried to convince me that he didn't exist, that he doesn't exist, guess what? I know differently. So as we are establishing this foundation, as we go forward and talking about spiritual warfare, there were some questions that, most people, well, some people would ask when you're talking about spiritual warfare, because we want to get people, and my goal is to get people comfortable to talk about this subject. Why? It's not talked about a lot. And normally when you start talking about this, people get like real scary. Oh my God, it's these demons, and they're coming to get me, and they're haunting my house, and I see all these movies and all these other different things. It's like, no, he wants us to dwell with him with knowledge. Like, I need you to see where you are. I need you to see where I have placed you. And the enemy doesn't want you to know that. Why? Because he can control you. He can take what is yours and use it against you. Why? Because you don't know it's yours. You won't know, because um, we just read where he has provided for all things. What? Through the knowledge of him. That means you have to get to know him. You have to get in this word. You have to seek out what he's saying. You have to allow the Spirit to reveal it to you, so that what? You will know what to expect. So one of these questions that need to be answered to establish this foundation: what is spiritual warfare? Let's just get to the heart of the matter. What is spiritual warfare? What is spiritual warfare? So this is the struggle that we as believers have with the forces of evil. So this is not a conflict that we initiated. We found ourselves in this space. Once you gave your life to Christ, you are now in warfare. See, the enemy didn't have to worry about you before, because before you gave your life to Christ, guess what? You were on his side. He was your father. You were a slave to sin. But because you accepted Jesus in your life, now you have been set free from sin. Now you have switched sides. So now the enemy and his forces are now targeting you. Talking about spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare encompasses Satan's rebellion against God and the manifestation of that rebellion in his creation. So the enemy got kicked out of heaven. Lucifer, Satan, got kicked out of heaven down here to earth. And so now he's what? He's now spreading that rebellion in the creation that God loves, which is humanity. So now you have people that are sinning, that are doing things that God would not desire them to do, because that rebellion spread. It started in heaven, but now it has run rampant throughout the earth. And spiritual warfare is also the conflict that arises as Satan attempts to disrupt God's plans. That is his one goal in life. That is his one goal, because what did he try to do in heaven? He wanted to exalt his throne above the Most High. He wanted to be God. So he got cast out. So now he's still continuing to disrupt God's plans here in this space. That's what spiritual warfare is. And that's why we have to realize um, and come to grips what it is, and not be fearful and not be afraid of it. So then the next question: when did this war start? Which is a good question. When did this war start? Well, it started when Lucifer was kicked out of heaven. Genesis, if you look back at Genesis 1, it says in the first verse, it says what? God created the heavens and the earth, and the earth was without form and void. Now hold on. Now verse 1 says, in the beginning God created, And then verse 2, it says that the earth was without form and void. So many theologians believe that the fall of Lucifer happened between verses 1 and 2 because something happened. There's a shift. You went from God creating to now being without form and void. And then if you go over to Luke 10 and 18, Jesus had just sent out the 70 two by two, and they were coming back to him, oh man, demons are subject to us by your name. And look, I saw Satan fall like lightning from the sky. So for those who think there was just a cataclysmic war in heaven where you know you have a good God and an equally bad devil, duking it out. No, God was like, okay, you got to go, Michael, handle this. Boom, over. God didn't even get up off the throne. He didn't get up off the throne. He said, Michael, handle this. Cast him out. Fell like lightning. Anyone ever witnessed lightning? How fast does it take to go from its origin down to the earth? Just like that. And that's how quickly he fell. But that's when the war started. And then what is the prize? Because every battle, um, it doesn't matter any conflict. You think any conflict throughout history, um, there's always a prize. There's always a reason why the conflict is going on. A lot of times it might be over land. It could be because of a woman. It could be over territory. It could be over money, power, a plethora of reasons why you know people go to war with one another. But the prize for this, so the battle, um, as with almost all of spiritual warfare, is for the hearts and the minds of humanity. And you'll be like, the hearts and minds of humanity, yeah. So let's look at it. So Satan, um, in Genesis, where Satan came to the garden and deceived Eve, he convinced her that um, God was intentionally holding something back. Did God say? Did God really say? So see, Satan couldn't make her do anything. Couldn't make Adam and Eve sin. He had to what? He had to convince them. His argument had to be so strategic that they would choose, just as he did, to disobey God. That's why the prize is the hearts and minds of humanity, because as a man thinketh, so is he. So if the enemy can get into your thought patterns, he can get into your mind, you're done. He doesn't have to do anything. He'll just plant the thought, and then if you churn and churn on that thought, you have a choice. You don't have control over the thoughts that hit your mind, but you do have 100% control over the thoughts that stay. So you can choose to cast it down or you can choose to meditate on it, which means what? Churn over and over. Think about that thing. Think about that thing. And then the last part of what, to establish this foundation is, what part do we play? What part do we play? So there's several things. We must realize, we must know and acknowledge that we're in a war every day. When you get up, you are in a war every day. You have to realize that. Your adversary is waiting for you to get up. He doesn't even wait. He tries to attack you. He's always coming at you. So you just have to be cognizant. You have to be aware that you're in warfare all the time. Once you said yes to Jesus, you entered a 24/7 war. Now we're establishing the foundation because there's a lot of places we're going to go, but I want you to know that we are in warfare every day. Realize that the battle rages relentlessly and aggressively. He is seeking to kill you. How many of you have been um, driving across a bridge and you heard a voice that said, turn your wheel and go off the side? How many of you have been walking across the bridge and you hear a voice that says, jump off, take your life? How many of you have been standing on a curb and you heard a voice that said, step off into oncoming traffic? The enemy is relentlessly and aggressively fighting you. Your warfare is every day. And you have to realize that the battles and the warfare is real. Now that's huge. You have to realize that this battle, that this warfare is real, even though you can't see your attacker. You have to have that in your mind. You can't allow the enemy to lull you asleep because, oh man, everything is going well. you know, I haven't really experienced anything bad, but he is relentlessly. If he's not actively coming against you, he's setting you up for a fall. And I've experienced that myself. I didn't even realize that he was setting me up, and the Lord revealed that thing. And I was like, wow, he was really setting me up. He was baiting me, and I didn't even realize it. Baiting me, baiting me, baiting me for a fall. And then this is what your enemy will do. He'll bait you for the fall, and when you fall, he'll come back and blame you and say, like, God, I told you. See, he playing both sides. He's not playing for a trophy. He's playing for your life. He's trying to take you out. So this is the part that we have to play. We have to realize that we must educate ourselves on how the battles are fought. We have to realize the enemy strategy. And I've said this previously. We can't be afraid of the enemy, but we have to know his tactics. See him coming afar off and cut him off. And we have to know what we're equipped with. There's nothing worse than coming to a gunfight with a knife. You have to know what you're equipped with. And then lastly, you must see the reason why you fight. Have you ever seen, I'm reminded of a scene from Gladiator, um, where they were taking these men out of various places and forcing them to come into the Coliseum and fight one another. And they had this one guy. He was because of course they're forced to do it. Right? They're chained to each other, and like you have to go in there. And I could just visualize it in my mind. He was sitting there shaking before he even came in. He was already defeated before he even stepped in the Coliseum because he came out there and he's screaming, not trying to see what the enemy is trying to do so you can take them out before they take you out. He's sitting there screaming and yelling, and one of the guys he was actually chained with actually ended up because he was doing all other stuff, cutting his hand off so he could get away from him so he could maneuver himself. You must see the reason why we fight. And the enemy is coming against you because ultimately he's trying to stop God's plan. He knows that there is a plan that God has had for you even before you got saved. And he was just waiting for you to get saved to empower you to be able to do that, to fulfill that plan. And the enemy is trying to stop God's plans at all costs. He does not care about you. You are collateral damage. He will use you and then he will toss you to the side because he cares nothing about you. I see those movies where, people say, I made a deal with the devil and I can't go back. Why? He tricked you into it. He will use you for whatever his ultimate goal is, and then toss you to the side. Will use your youth, will use your vitality, will use everything and leave you crippled and old and laying in a corner and laugh at you while he's walking away. The enemy cares nothing about you. This is why we need to be aware and do our part in this warfare. And so this is the basis, this is the foundation of what we will get into, because this, I think now this is a critical topic, because like I said, a lot of people aren't talking about this. And if they are talking about it, it's like, oh my God, this is big warfare, you should be scared. No. No, the last thing that you want in warfare is soldiers or people involved that are connected with you in this fight to be fearful. I would rather you be calculated. I need you to be strategic. And so we're going to talk about this as we talk about spiritual warfare. So this is the foundation. Um, I look forward to walking through this. We're going to talk about a whole lot of things. We're going to talk about what we're equipped with. We're going to talk about the structure of the enemy's army, because he's not just flailing out there. He's organized. He's organized, but overall, we cannot be fearful of the enemy or his tactics. We have to know and have to believe what the word says. If we can do that, if we can believe what the word says, we will be an unstoppable force. And I speak that over you, that you are an unstoppable force, because what the Lord will show you through this series is going to revolutionize your walk with him. So I speak blessings over you. I pray that he will just anoint your eyes to see that as you are studying his word, he will begin to reveal things by his spirit, so that you will be so convinced that God is good, that he's powerful, and he made you that same way, that as you walk through life, you won't even have to do spiritual warfare. You'll just walk in and be like Jesus. Demons just be following you, telling like, what you doing here? And I pray that over you as we go into this series, spiritual warfare.